the first thing that we always do is the hand washing. Um, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because I know Melissa's going to go over it in the next portion of the personal protection as well. So how many seconds does everyone wash your hands?
20.
20.
Okay.
20.
So
20.
let's just do a quick imitation of washing your hands, turning on the water, washing your hands for 20 seconds. And do you remove your rings?
No.
Anybody know why?
You just move them so that the bacteria doesn't like get back on your hands if you put your ring back on after you wash them.
Right, exactly. Any questions about proper hand washing?
No.
Oh.
Okay. And Steve went over most of the rules and everything. Just make sure you stay muted or mute yourself for sure if you're going to be doing anything or moving anything. Melissa, you want to go ahead and do the next section?
The COVID. Okay. So, did you want to put that up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to put something up on the screen. You should have this in your hand. So can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll just dive right in. So what does PPE stand for?
Personal protective.
Protective equipment.
Right.
I'm supposed to have that one.
Number 2, name 4 PPE that are essential for your protection if you may be splashed with bodily fluid. The answer is face mask, eye protection, disposable gloves, or gown. And then, okay, so when should you wash your hands?
As often as possible.
Okay, so the correct answer, and I noticed with my people that they got it wrong. So the real answers are when entering and leaving the home or community setting, when adjusting face coverings, before putting on and taking off disposable gloves. Number 4, what population of people might be at higher risk for severe illness from COVID-19?
Older people.
People with medical conditions that involve their lungs. Well, with underlying medical conditions.
Correct.
Older people.
Yep. What is the standard distance for social distancing?
At least 6 feet.
Minimum of 6 feet.
Correct. Everybody got that one right. So number 6, if you become sick or I can't talk, or are exposed to COVID-19, what should you do?
Stay home, self-isolate.
Self-isolate.
Hold on for a minute. I'm just going to answer this one. You can see it on your list. Number 1, people who have limited mobility, people who have trouble understanding information or practicing preventative measures such as washing hands and social distancing, people who may not be able to communicate symptoms of illness, people who are blind or have low vision who rely on touch or tactile information, people who need alternative communication methods such as sign language or braille who may not have access to information. That was a long one, so it's kind of hard for everybody to talk over everybody. So if they're a long answer, I'll answer them. I'll just say the answers. What are
interject real quick, Steph?
Sure.
I think because of time values, I think what we need to do is mute everybody.
Okay.
And whoever's presenting, just allow them to read through. This is a test you guys have in your hand. You've all taken the test. We don't have to have input. We'll just let her go through it. As long as we show that we've done this, then Medicaid's happy. So that just kind of relieves everybody from having to talk. So, and we'll just, so you be the presenter and that's it right now, okay?
Okay, thank
Melissa, you're muted. You need to unmute.
you. That's weird. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are 4 ways to cope with stress during the COVID-19 pandemic? Number 1, take care of your body. Number 2, make time to unwind. Number 3, take breaks from watching, reading, or listening to news stories. Number 4, connect with others in a safe way, maintaining social distance. Number nine, does COVID-19 spread easily between people? Yes. Number 10, can people spread COVID-19 to animals? Yes, in some situations if the animal has been in close contact with people with COVID-19. Number 11, what are the 4 steps to slow the spread of the COVID-19 virus? Number 1, maintain social distance, 6 feet. Wash your hands often with soap and water. Routinely clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces. Cover your mouth and nose with cloth face cover when around others. And that part is done. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions? They can unmute and ask a question, and then make sure you turn your mute back on.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Are you reading this one or am I?
I can do it. It's fine.
Okay, we'll go back and
Doing
forth.
a little bit better today. I've been having an allergy thing going on. That's why I'm at home today. On the timesheets, first of all, thank you to all the people that take time to make sure your timesheets are done right and to do them daily, and to make sure that you're using that double check at the end of the week before you send it in. You can really tell the difference of people who do that because they make less mistakes. They catch the mistakes if they do make a mistake before they turn it in, and you can usually tell that by they'll draw a neat line through the mistake and correct the mistake. I'm still seeing some timesheets coming in with the same mistake from Sunday through Saturday. And on those, you pretty much know that you're not doing the double check, or those would have been caught because it happens every day. So you really have to be careful on those timesheets and make sure that you're doing them every day and doing that double check before you send them in, because that's where you get your paycheck from. And sometimes we do have to hold those back if we can't get them corrected. It's unfortunate, but we want to make sure that everybody gets their paycheck done on time. And so we have to have those timesheets Mondays by 4 p.m. and they have to be correct when we get them. So really be careful. The formula sheets are always due the last timesheet of the month. The majority of the time, 9 times out of 10, if a person is over their hours for the month, it's because there's someone that are not utilizing that formula sheet. Steve made those several years ago, and they work really well in trying to keep track of your hours. Make sure you're using those and turning them in. If you have an address change, we are requiring a federal and state W-4 now. Make sure you request one of those. If you send us the address change, that's great, but always make sure you request us to either stop by and pick up or have us mail you the W-4s and get those back into us as soon as possible. Be sure you're writing those times down every day. Ensure you're providing all care that's required per the service agreement. I get a lot of phone calls, and I'm sure Melissa and Stephanie do too. Well, what exactly am I supposed to do for bathing for this person? I remind them all the time, but they don't want to take a bath. Well, if they don't, and you look on the service plan and it says on the service plan that you're to remind them or to help motivate them to get into the bath, then that's the only requirement that you have. And if you are reminding them, even if they don't bathe, you've fulfilled that requirement. If it says on there, assist with bathing, assist with setup, if you've done the setup, but they didn't take a bath and you didn't assist, then you write down in the notes for that day, customer refused bath. They have the right to do that, but you have to notate in there that they did refuse something that was on their care plan. That's charting to exception, which is the next one. If you do not provide a required care, then you must chart to exception. If you provide a care that's needed, like a person has the flu and they normally don't need assistance in the bathroom, and they've needed assistance on that day because they're just too weak and they need assistance, then you chart to exception, assisted with toileting, and you go ahead and mark it on your timesheet. That's not something that should be an ongoing thing. If it's an ongoing thing, then we need to look at maybe requesting a change to the plan of care. But if it's just an incident where they're sick, temporary thing, by all means, use that chart to exception. At the end of the week, make sure you're writing that weekly narrative. The weekly narrative is just a short summation, and you can ask your customer, how do you think your week went? My week went great, or I had a lousy week. It was too smoky outside. I couldn't get outside, whatever it might be. They may have had the flu all week and they were in bed, didn't feel well. Whatever that weekly narrative might be. At the end of the week, again, like we talked about before, review your timesheet, make sure that all of that information is correct before you turn it in. Check off all of the following things. Check the timesheet submission date. That's your weekly date at the top right-hand corner. Check your pay schedule date. A lot of people call and say, why did I only get paid for 1 week? Well, it's because 2 weeks ago they forgot to turn in a timesheet and it's going to be on the next paycheck. Most of the time that's what it is, but not always. Do you have your current info? Do we have your current info? Excuse me. So if you have a change of direct deposit or a change of address for your check stub, make sure you get us those W-4s or the change of direct deposit. Did somebody have a question? Oh, I heard some talking. And if you're not getting your paycheck, make sure you're checking all of these things. Contact your bank. There may be a holdup at your bank. Have all of the needed information gathered if you call us or you email us and say you don't have your paycheck. If your pay is not right, make sure you send us a copy of that pay stub. That makes it so much easier for us to be able to see where the problem might be. If you have just the screenshot from your Intuit account that shows your check stub, that's great as well. Either one of those really helps get that done quicker for you, because then we know where to research and we know how to communicate with payroll to make sure it's right. Copies of your pay stubs are available on the workforce.intuit.com. If you cannot get in there, send your coordinator an email and she can make sure that payroll will get that into there and they'll send you a request so that you can get in. But you have to make sure to let us know that you can't get in so we can request them to send you another invite. If you fax or email your timesheet, you must always call the coordinator and leave them a voicemail to verify receipt. Faxes are not foolproof. It may say on your end that it went through, but that doesn't always mean that we have it. Last week we had a problem with our fax machines, and anyone who didn't call me and leave me a voicemail that I faxed my timesheet, I had no idea to communicate with them and say we didn't get it, because I had no idea that they tried to send it. So we need to make sure that those people are always letting us know that they faxed their timesheet. anyone have any questions about timesheets? or
Actually, can
policy?
I say something real quick before you ask questions?
Sure.
I want to throw out there, I want everybody to know this, that not every, like iPhones won't do this, but a lot of different phones will. But if you have a smartphone and you scan your timesheet with that iPhone, or you take a picture with it, a lot of phone companies will allow you, instead of texting Yvonne or Melissa or Stephanie, you can actually email it through your text. You can just put in the, where the phone number goes, you can actually put like Melissa at dacnw.org, and it will go to her email. Or you can just text it.
I don't have a work.
That's what I
her
do with-
number.
That's what I do with my timesheets, but sometimes there's an issue with the lighting of the photo. So I've found that it's better just to scan it in and email it. But sometimes you just have to make sure the lighting is good when you're taking a picture of those timesheets
Right.
with your
And
phone.
when you say you scan it into your phone, you've learned how to use the notes section and use the scan?
Well, I have an actual scanner at home. So when I was taking a picture and then emailing it to her, like via just JPEG or PDF, however it would save on my phone. But
Okay.
the photo images weren't coming through to her on the email very clear. So the scanner, because it has the backlight, the resolution comes out a lot better.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the the cam scanner, a lot of the assistants use that, and it works like a scanner, but it's on your phone, and that works really well too.
And then Yvonne, the only issue, I'm like super literal. I mean, maybe just for next year or whatever, the next thing. I was so confused by number 10 because I didn't know what cord meant, and I didn't realize it was short for coordinator. I was like, what does that mean? I don't know what she's saying.
Sorry about that.
Now that I'm like looking, I'm like, oh, coordinator. I get it. Like,
I
past
will pay
10.
more attention to that. And always email me or call me if you have a question.
So I guess it's my turn now, huh? All right. I know a lot of you probably have a lot of questions about this, and I'm going to try to answer in a nutshell. First and foremost, electronic verification, EVV, electronic visit verification is what it stands for. It comes from the 21st Century's CARES Act, or CARES Act, and it mandates that states implement the EVV for all Medicaid personal care services and home health services that require an in-home visit by a provider. This is a federal law now. Federal meaning government. Okay, it has nothing to do with our state. It has nothing to do with our Medicaid. Trust me, our Medicaid does not want to do this. Neither does Blue Cross, neither does Molina. But the government says this has to be mandated into law by, we have to be putting it in by this January, and it has to go in 100% effect July 1st, 2021. And this is a full year after it was actually supposed to be put in. Most states are already doing this. A lot of agencies that I've talked to, they had the same, customers and assistants had the same beefs, I guess, that everybody has going through their minds. Trust you me, I have had some arguments in my head, especially when it comes to self-direction. Okay. I don't want people to be able to follow me anywhere I go. Okay. The committees that we have created throughout the state to try to battle against this got nowhere. Okay. So what the electronic verification is, it's basically a two-way door. So the customer is going to have a system, whether it be via their regular dial phone, their regular home phone, whether it be on a computer, whether it be on an iPad, whether it be on a cell phone. The customer is going to have a way to verify that that assistant is there at the home working with them. The assistant is going to have an app on their phone. And basically that will be your timesheet. You will keep track of what you do with the customer via that app. Okay, and when you do it with that customer. Now there's going to be a lot of glitches that we're going to have to work out during this training time that we're going to be doing once we get it going. I believe they're going to buy the package this November, and we're going to pick a few people and kind of start doing a little bit here and there, and then jump out there sometime around December, January, and get it going. Now, once again, you guys will all have to do your paper timesheets until this is all set in stone. And they still have not come up with a way for people to turn in their progress notes on, where you're supposed to write something at the bottom. But the state has been trying to work on changing the IDAPA codes to where that possibly doesn't have to happen. Okay, because it's hard to do electronically. Now the question has been waived, what do we do if we don't have service? Well, if you have the app on your phone, the app is still going to work wherever you're at. You could go 40 miles out in the country. That app is still going to work because it's downloaded on your phone. Nothing will be downloaded into the system until you come into service. So if you drive 40 miles and stuff, and then you're into your cell phone service, that's when the data comes into the main database. The question has been asked, well, what about this GPS stuff? What about people knowing where we're at all times? Well, we can actually set parameters to where that can be turned off. As far as a company goes, we will be the ones that control that portion of it. I don't know, truthfully, if you're working with your customer in the home, I don't see what difference it makes. But when the customer wants to leave their home and go somewhere, I don't think you should have to be tracked, because that's your business. Where you go is where you want to go. And so like I said, we're going to work through this. Okay. I've heard that, a lot of people maybe want to leave agencies because of this. And I'm going to tell this story real quick because I only got 9 minutes left. My father goes through a different agency in Whitebird, Idaho. If y'all know where that's at, that's down in a hole in nowhere land over by Grangeville. My father called me and said that him and his assistant just dumped the company they were with because they were having to do this electronic thing. And he says, we went to a different agency. We weren't going to deal with this. And I very calmly told my father, I said, Dad, it doesn't matter what agency you're going through. If you want to get Medicaid services, you're going to have to do it with every agency. He goes, really? I said, if they didn't explain that to you before you left them, then I apologize for that. But this is something that every agency throughout the United States has to do. So you can't pick on, this 21st Centuries Act started about 16 years ago. And it finally got put into finalized back 2 years ago. And so it's something that people have been fighting across the country because of the GPS, because of the worry about being, monitored everywhere. But what you can do, and I mean about this when I say it like this, what you can do is for everybody that is honest to the T when it comes to making sure that they write down legitimately what's going on. What you can honestly do is blame this on the individuals that love to fill out their timesheets and turn them in, but never actually worked in the home and finagled their customer to sign it, and it got turned in. So basically, all the honest people are being persecuted for a few dishonest people. Now, you might think to yourself, does that really happen? Come on, you know it does. You know, somewhere out there, somebody's trying to mess up the system. And so that's what this is. That's where this came from. And it basically came to where they're trying basically to make sure that the customers are getting the service that they're being paid to get, or that Medicaid's paying for to give them.
I have a
And so,
question.
yes.
So for example, my client, and I'm sure this is the case for a lot of clients, he's on limited income. So he's got one of those flip phones from the government. So there's no like data on it. And then he doesn't have internet service. I have on my phone, but I don't know, he's kind of an old stiffler and he's kind of cheap. And I don't think he's going to pay for internet to have some digital service I'm sure there'll be a way that he could verify through my app on my phone, but I feel like that might end up being an issue with some of the people that are on fixed incomes.
A lot of companies have thought about that, and these things will work. Does he have a home phone?
No home phone. He's got
No
Life
home phone.
Alert, one of those government like $20 a month phones, and he's got a laptop, but he doesn't pay for internet anymore because
How does his Life Alert work?
I don't know. It must work through a LAN. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask him. He lives in a fifth wheel, so I'm not really sure how that works.
Well, we can't guarantee this for everybody, but we have talked that there could be the possibility that we might have to help folks out in some circumstances, whether it be getting them a Kindle Fire or something,
Okay.
and figuring out a way to get them a hotspot. So this is a way to do it. It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily mean we can help everybody, because remember,
Right.
this is costing us as an agency a lot of extra money.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I'm sure they'll come out with a way where, like, my son gets services through SSI, and the app that we used to use in our state, you actually had to take a photo of the client to verify you were there, and
Right.
it would get uploaded from the app.
And that might be the way we can set up and do it, to where the person can just use their phone and do it. So we have 5 minutes left of this training, and it's going to cut us off automatically. So once it goes blank, we're done. Okay. Make sure that if you were on this meeting, that you let your coordinator know. They were supposed to write you all down if they'd seen your name. So because everybody got paid that turned in a test, an hour, and everybody's getting paid an hour for this meeting. So you get your 2 hours of training time. Okay. Please, if you have any other questions, to contact your coordinator and ask. The EV, like I said, the EVV thing, you guys can go online, you can read about it. I've done a lot of research on different agencies and companies, and the one that we're getting is out of Spokane, and they're actually pretty good. They've got a lot of different options. It's going to be way harder on our part to get everything set up and get all you people and all the customers into it. But once we do, it's like any other app. Y'all know as well as I do that anything new, nobody likes it. But once you get it and you get used to it, it really isn't that hard to deal with.
Could you tell us which app it is so that we can research and maybe kind of see and familiarize ourselves with it?
Yeah, hold on a sec. Let me pull it up. It's called AssuraCare.
AssuraCare?
Yep.
How do you spell that?
It is ASSURICARE dash Care, C-A-R-E, win, well, that was a proposal. So it's Assura Care dash Care Win.
Wind?
Win, W-H-E-N.
Okay. So is that,
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time, please?
Yeah, the name of it is Assura Care.
Okay.
A-S-S-U-R-I-C-A-R-E.
Thank you.
And it's, like I said, it's a firm out of Spokane. And so, yeah,
And
look at,
that's an app we can download on our phone.
well, not right now. I mean, right now you want to wait until you might be able to look into it and download it right now. I'm not sure to play with it. But that is the agency that we're getting.
with this GPS, does it just track where you are, or does it have a visual with it?
No, GPS just tracks where the person is. It goes by, like, if you download it on your cell phone and you're on it, it tells you exactly where you were at the time. But if you're at home and they also have a box where it'll hook to your regular phone, it just shows you're at home. But then you can set it up too, like the individual said, to where a person could possibly just take a photo and say, look, I'm with the person. And that verifies that you're with the person. So they could, in my opinion, you might be able to still go to the grocery store and they don't have to be with you, because there has been circumstances where people have done that. We have less than a minute. So like I said, this thing will just shut off. So, but I also, really quick, I want to thank each and every one of you, the assistants that's been on here, that's been working through COVID-19. Please go on to Dak's YouTube and look at the thanks that Dak gave everybody. Everyone in the agency did a thanks to all you caregivers for the work that you do, because I don't think you get enough recognition as first responders. And I want you guys to know that from the bottom of my heart, that I think you guys are wonderful. And I think what you guys have done through this time and what you're going to be doing for the next 6 months is awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so, but please go on to YouTube, look Disability Action Center YouTube, and there's a video on there that's telling everybody thank you. And it's pretty cool. And James, the guy that works for us, he put it together, and he basically, he's a jokester, but he did a really good job in putting it together.